Boom.
Boom, we did
Hey
it.
guys, we made it. How's it
You made
going?
it.
You made it.
We all made it, guys.
Man, oh man, we made it. Welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. Welcome Marhandi, Mianglio, Saule, Pear. Did I say Marhandi? I said Marhandi. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you can say his name as many times as
Marhandi,
Marhandi.
Marhandi, 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 Marhandi.
That's right.
And
Yeah, it
Pear,
only gets
Pear,
better.
Pear, 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 Pear.
Pear,
Saule,
pear, pear,
Saule,
pear.
Saule. Manglios, Manglio. That
That
one's a
one's
lot of syllables.
wow. Yeah.
Yes. Welcome, you
Pear, pear,
guys.
pear, pear, pear.
It's
That's what
great.
she's here.
It's great to be here. Oh, we got Anonymous. Welcome,
Oh, no, that's
Anonymous.
not.
Hello. Um, yeah, Mianglio says, Ryan and Yansai, how was Japan?
Thank you for asking. We're still in Japan, but that's why my setup is so different. And my setup will probably be a bit different for the next like I don't know, many months. But we're in Japan, and it's been really great. It's been full of adventure and experiences. Um, Mostly very good. Yeah. Mhm. I suppose we can get more into that at any point in the stream with
Yeah.
more specifics than that. But I figured that's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, we can talk
Good.
about that. You guys have,
Hmm.
I'm sure you guys have quite a story. Um,
Mm. Plenty. Plenty of stories.
that's awesome. Just keep it PG. Uh,
Hmm. No, they're all PG.
oh, good. All
Yeah.
right. Um, so welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show we do on Wednesdays, almost every Wednesday.
Mm.
Just not all of
Almost.
them. Last week we weren't here. That was totally on me because I had some parenting time with one of my sons that I ended up with a lot longer time, and I'm gonna take it when I get the chance because I don't get a lot of time. So anyway, so that's why we weren't there last week. Haley, I don't know if you're here or not, but I gotta give a shout out, big thank you to Haley. Haley was with me on this show for the last I don't know, last, well, it was not last week, but the 2 weeks before that.
2 weeks before.
And she did
Yeah.
so great, man. She just did awesome.
That's
And
great.
and we had a lot of fun too. And we
Mm.
had the clip. I don't know if you guys saw the bulletproof coffee clip,
Ooh,
but I actually clipped a clip from a show two
wow.
weeks ago, and Ryan, I'll
Dang.
send it to you. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Please do.
yeah. Um, Anonymous, you did put in a topic a bit back. I don't know if we got it.
If you can type in brief what it might be about, then we can tell you whether we got it or not.
Uh
We
huh.
have right now two topics in here, but one of them is definitely not yours. Well, actually, one of them could be. Well, either of them could technically be yours. So, um, if we don't have it, then yeah, maybe just in the chat would be fine. Okay, yep, we've got that one. Um, Currently, it was a question for Nyansai, which is really great, and I appreciate that. She's currently asleep because it's early
Ah,
in the morning,
yes.
but there's a chance that she'll awaken, and there's also a chance that she would help you outside of this show.
Mm-hmm.
So
That would be good. Some things like that, health issues like that, they go beyond
yeah,
sometimes the scope of what we have time to talk about in this show, and
yeah,
to have somebody who has gone through it or is going through it,
hmm
that's huge.
yeah.
Um,
I'm certainly not a professional in endometriosis, nor would I ever pretend to be. I know very little, but I know, yeah, she definitely knows quite a bit.
yeah.
And hopefully can at least co-suffer, nothing more. But yeah,
All right. Well, cool. Well, Thank you, Anonymous, for the topic. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
Mhm.
you guys have, if you guys have any topics at all, you can put them on our website at don'tworrywednesday.com. You can also just put them in the chat because, like, really, right now, I think the only one we can do is yours, Anonymous, but Neonsai is not awake, and so like
Yeah.
that's kind of our
Sorry
our
about that.
our, our linchpin at the moment, right? With that one.
Hmm.
So, but if you have something you want us to talk about, we would love to talk about it. So, if you got something, you can just put it in the chat. We can just go from the chat. If you want us to just talk about whatever, we can just talk about whatever.
Yeah,
And we'll have a good time doing it. It's gonna be great.
that's right.
Um, but
We know how to do that.
yeah, we can talk. We can open our mouths and words come out.
Yeah.
Oh, Anonymous needs
Okay.
advice for a friend of yours. Thank you. Let me do the legal
Okay.
disclaimer really quick before we get into anything. We are not
That's a good
professional
idea.
psychologists, psychiatrists, or therapists, or counselors, or anything like that. Um,
A lot of
so
titles for that field.
there's tons, man, and there's all kinds of initials like letters and stuff.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, but anyway, so we're not professionals, but we. Oh, thank you, Sale. Sale just put it there in the chat. We're not professionals. The
Mm.
information we give is not a substitute for professional advice. We're just trying to give back and support you as you're supporting us, and we thank you so much for your support. And we hope
Mhm.
that we make a difference. That's really it. I mean, we have streams and we have this nice intimate group of maybe usually it's somewhere between like 7 and 15 people or something like that, so it's not like a lot of these streamers that have chats that just go crazy. You can't even see it. There's just so many people putting stuff in. It's I'm really glad that we
Oh my
don't
gosh.
have that going on.
Yeah.
I like it
Yeah.
intimate like this. But so yeah, so we're not a substitute for professional advice. A lot of times you may need professional advice in your lifetime, whether it's legal advice or professional advice or, counseling or whatever. And, we've referred a lot of people to counselors, and well, we haven't referred them to individual counselors, but we said maybe you probably want to talk to a counselor. Um because yeah, that's sometimes what you need, and it's okay. Don't feel bad about going to get some counseling because it might just be able to fix you up. I know I had a great counselor for a couple years, and she got me through some pretty difficult stuff through a divorce and all that, and
Mm.
like it was a crisis of existence. Like existential crises, and it was just nuts.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's crazy. But so yeah, that's the legal disclaimer. We're not professionals. Anything we
That's
say
right.
cannot be used against us in a court of law.
In a court of law. That's right. That's true.
Because we're not
Because we said
professionals.
we.
Everything we say is for entertainment purposes only, and you probably shouldn't take our advice or listen to us at all because we're probably wrong. But
Pretty good.
we try our best, man. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we just love you guys, and that's why we love doing this show.
Mm-hmm.
We love being able to help in any way we can. A lot
Yeah.
of times, what you need most is just a friend, to help you get through, help you know that you're not alone, that you're not weird for having some kind of an issue, because everybody has issues, man. Everybody has all
Mm.
kinds of stuff going on in their lives, and
Oh yeah.
you know, but we just want to love you. So, yeah, that's it. But yes,
Yeah.
Saule has put the website up there a bunch of
Thank
times.
you.
I
Thank
don't
you,
have the
Saga.
chat very big, and I see 3 links, so you can click any one of those,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll take
Or
you
all
to
of
our
them.
website, or you can click all of them, or
Yeah,
you
and
can just
submit a
put,
topic for every time you land on the page.
or you can just put your topic in the chat. We can do that too. That,
You can do that as
and a
well.
lot of times that for right now, that might be the easiest thing because then we don't have to keep checking back over at
Yeah.
the.
I've been doing that.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
So everybody
Refresh,
welcome
refresh.
Ryan back because Ryan,
Wow.
yeah, do it.
I mean, I've been here
Say
for.
welcome back, Ryan.
Oh, welcome back, Ryan.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Good job. Oh,
Wix.
thank you.
Thank you, Wix. You're awesome.
Hey, welcome. Thank you.
Good to see you. Um,
Welcome back yourself.
yes. So anyway, here we are. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right.
Anonymous, if you have an impromptu topic, you can put it right there in the chat if you want. Or or whatever.
Hi,
Hero,
hero.
welcome.
Hey, welcome. Yeah, thank you guys. It's nice to be back. I always love the show. It's one of my favorite parts of the week every week.
Mm.
And so it's really nice to be able to be back here, and I'm excited to sort of normalize again. It's been a crazy 2, 3 weeks or whatever, and it's just like, I mean, yeah, like walking all day long is not something I'm used to. And yeah, I'm really happy to be kind of just getting settled back into a less active life, but more, just less physically active, more socially active, more active with you guys and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be good.
Cool. Cool.
Hmm.
So Anonymous has submitted the topic. It looks like it's there.
Yay!
Thank you, Anonymous. You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
So Ryan, are you gonna process that then?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Perfect.
I'll process it.
Perfect. That would be great.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, so I guess in the meantime, while Ryan's doing that, how are you guys doing? You guys doing okay?
Hello,
Uh,
guys. Doing okay?
uh
I don't
oh, and
hear them. You guys aren't loud enough.
Anonymous wants to rephrase the last sentence. It says,
Oh,
I
okay.
should rephrase the last sentence. I don't really believe in love happening that way. You know, it's crazy
Oh,
because love happens all kinds of ways. I've experienced a bunch of them.
okay. I fixed it up for you. I added to it. Don't worry about it.
All right. Yes, current mood is the dab. Let's dab.
Wow, that's a good mood.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
That's okay, pair. Thank you for typing out a topic, man. You guys, all we need to do is put out the call for topics, and you guys are on
Wow,
it.
you guys are so nice to us. Thank you.
Yeah. Wix, I'm glad to hear you're doing very well. I'm sorry to hear your computer is cranky. Yeah, that happens. I've experienced that many times. Um, yeah, it's not any fun. And there's like 500 different things that it probably could be. And then you got to try and figure out what it is. And then a lot of times I end up calling somebody, like a friend of mine who knows more about computers than I do. It's so funny because you,
Google. No.
yeah, right?
Usually, you find someone who knows more and they're like, yeah, I'll
Just,
answer that
you
for
know what
you.
I
Hey,
do?
Google.
I Google it, right? Exactly. That's how that works. It's so
Yeah.
funny because like I probably know the least about technology in our company,
Uh,
BSS. I think of all the people that are in this company, I know the least. Except well, maybe Jeff. I don't know. Jeff and I might be like tied for knowing the
it
least
depends,
amount of computer
I mean, you
stuff.
both work in different softwares and stuff, but
Yeah.
everyone in our business seems to know at least quite a bit more than maybe. I don't know if they know more than the average person, but they know they're computer savvy, all
Well,
of
it's
us.
crazy because for all my friends and family members and everything like that, I'm the expert.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like they'll come
Yeah.
to me, they're like, "Oh, hey, they'll be like, "Can you fix my iPhone?" I'm like, "No, actually, yes, I can fix your iPhone," and I just throw it against the wall and it breaks and then it's fixed.
Yeah, because then they have to
then
go
they
buy a new one, which
then
is
they
what they
go
had to do
and
anyways,
they
because
then they
there's no
go
other
get
option.
right. Then they just go get an Android or something because it's better.
Mm,
Sorry for all you Apple people. I
mm.
love you. Hero says, I've been trying a lot of new things and having a lot of new opportunities come up. It's a bit overwhelming at times, a bit tiring most times, but all exciting. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, Wix, just tried the classic turning it off and on, closing all my tabs, whatever. Might need to try some gentle parenting next.
For
Parent your
for the
computer well,
yeah, for the computer,
Wix.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Get that cranky computer into a better mood. Moody computers, man. Crazy. craziness. Um, but
I'm almost done.
you're almost done. Cool. Um,
Hmm.
but anyway, yeah. So Ryan's been gone. I've been gone. It's gonna get crazy in the summer. I might be gone like every other week. Oh, now we have another topic. Pear sent a topic. Thank you, Pear. Um, but yeah, summertime gets a little bit nuts for me because of my parenting time with my kids. Um, so I might not be here every week, and but we'll be here as much as we can. Um, Maybe if you give it more cookies, it'll cheer up. Usually in my experience, if you give a computer more cookies, it slows it
Oh,
down.
that's pretty funny. Yeah, nice. Okay,
Yes.
I believe I have curated it correctly.
Whose? Anonymous or
One
pair?
of them,
Okay.
anonymous.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna do pair as well.
Okay. Cool. Perfect.
Cool. Oh, did I not send this to the right place? Oh, I forgot to press curated.
Oh
Whoops,
yeah,
hold
you
on.
gotta hit the curated button, man. That's how that works.
There, that's the last one. There we go. Now you've got it.
Perfect. Look at that. Oh, you curated pairs.
I did that as a first marker on that one. It's not actually
Oh,
curated. I
it's not
lied. I'm
okay.
sorry.
I was like, dang, you were quick, man. You're so good. I
Yeah.
don't even know. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Um, but yeah, pair. It's glad you could make it. So on Wednesdays you usually have orchestra rehearsal, huh? So
Oh,
which orchestral instrument
ooh,
do you play? Because I've
wow.
been in a lot of orchestras as a percussionist. Um,
Yeah.
and
Ooh,
and
this
that's
is a great
fun.
one, Pear. I like this one. This is a
Orchestral
really good one.
percussion is funny though. I will say that. Because if you're anything other than the timpanist, the timpani player, then you basically have like 400,000 measures of rest and then like one triangle hit ding
Ooh,
and
that's like
then
that's like the best part though.
you rest for another 40,000 measures.
Everyone loves when they hear the triangle though. It's like, did you hear that triangle?
Right?
You know, you're like the star for that moment. Because most people don't get a solo, but the triangle is always a solo.
Uh-huh. Oh, you play the euphonium. Hey,
Ooh,
cool. That's a cool instrument.
nice.
Um
I like the euphonium.
yeah, that was actually, when I was an instrument repair technician, that was one of my favorite instruments to fix because they're not like super
Really?
heavy like a tuba. Well, I guess
Hmm.
like, it depends because the tuba is also called a euphonium, the upright concert tuba. It's called a tuba euphonium, and but usually when people say euphonium, they're talking about the baritone euphonium, which is like not quite as big. Um, but yeah, it was always fun because I got to be really good at taking dents out of horns and stuff like that, and the euphonium was just a great size to work on. It wasn't too small and delicate like a trumpet. Trombone slides are finicky as all get out, and so like they're crazy. But the euphonium was just a nice sized instrument to work on.
Nice.
And I liked it. But oh, all
They're
right.
both curated.
I think it's great that you play in a gamer symphony orchestra though. And you play
Really?
video game music. That's so awesome.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh man, that's awesome.
Wow, you started
I
playing
love
it in
that.
fourth grade. The instrument was bigger than you. That's great. I love it when the instrument you play is bigger than you. When I
Yeah.
played bass drum in the MSU marching band and I couldn't see over the drum.
Hmm.
Like the drum went up to here. And so like I'm just hoping the person in front of me doesn't stop.
Yeah, because you don't know. You can't see.
Cuz I can't
Oh my
tell.
God. Hmm. My instrument is still bigger than me.
Which one?
The piano.
Oh, the piano. Depends on the
Yeah.
piano.
Yeah, it's true. They got pretty lightweight pianos now, and MIDI keyboards as
Yes.
well.
Yes, they do.
But yeah,
Yes, please send links. I'd love to see your concerts. Yeah, that's awesome. So cool. Well, now we have some topics, guys. What do you think? You want us to do some topics?
let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So we got anonymouses
Yeah, I think that's
first.
the yeah.
Um, Anonymous, are you still? Oh, Anonymous has a no preference. Are either of these urgent? I should. Da, 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 da.
Neither urgent.
Nope. Okay. All right. So, Anonymous, are you still here? So funny because you guys just do
There you
which
are. Yeah,
one we want to do first.
cool.
Okay. Well, Pear, you're here. Are you on a time constraint? Because if you're pressed for time, we'll do yours first. Um, you guys like submitted them at just like the same exact time, so it's tough to say.
Okay, neither of them mind. All right.
All right, cool. Then we'll start. We'll just go in order. Anonymous, we got yours first, so we'll start with that. And it's Love Online. Fantastic.
Mm.
Um,
It's a good one. You like it.
I love it.
You'll learn to like it.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, man. I'll tell you what.
Uh,
Romantic topics are a little bit funny for me. I have some interesting views on that kind of stuff. But anyway, we will do this
some hot
topic.
takes.
Yeah, it'll be good. All right. Let's see here. All right. So I'll get this topic up here on the screen so you guys can read along while we read it aloud. Ryan and I are going to read it aloud together at the same time in unison.
Wow.
Not actually.
Oh, okay, good. Because wow.
You feel like you have a 50% chance of showing up to Don't Worry Wednesday when a romantic topic is being done.
I
You're
know,
gonna get
Hero. I'm wondering, is it you or is it just people have a lot of romance problems?
well, that's a big issue for a lot of people. I've had a lot of big
Hmm.
romance issues, man.
Yeah, honestly. Although actually most of them that we get don't seem to be like actual problems in their romances. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't I haven't really seen too many like, they did this and so what do I do about that? Like we haven't seen too much of that, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'd handle them if you want us to,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna get this topic up on the screen so you guys can read along. This is "Love Online" is what it's been titled, and it goes like this. She met. Wait. Okay.
That's how it starts.
She met this voice actor online. My friend and him have a lot in common, but she's never met him. Nevertheless, she's developed a crush on him and wants to talk more. They're both Christians and have the same family dynamic, and they're the same age, too. She doesn't want to come off as clingy to the guy because although she's got a crush, she doesn't want to risk their friendship. I really don't know how to help coach her and help her through this. She wants to potentially meet him and possibly try a relationship, but I'm not the best person to ask because I'm biased on this because I don't really believe in love happening that way. And that is from Anonymous. So, Anonymous, thank
Hmm.
you very much for the topic. Yeah, hopefully we can do this justice. So you've
Hmm.
got a friend, and she met a person online, and now she has a crush on him. That happens, you know. I mean, I think we've probably all experienced that in one way, shape, or another, especially with how online stuff is now. Um, you can get to know somebody through text, and you
Yeah,
can,
that's interesting.
yep, and you can start liking each other. But I mean, it also can work. I mean, geez, Ryan,
Yeah,
didn't you
there you
meet
go.
your wife online?
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Senna, one of your moderators. She met her. Are
yeah.
they married now?
I hope that I hope that they'll get married soon. They're not married yet, I don't
They're not
think.
married yet. Okay, but they're yeah, and she moved to like to Europe. She was from
Yeah.
America and moved to Europe,
Hmm.
and they're together, and they sounds like they have a very loving and strong relationship. And
Yeah, yeah,
so I
they're doing
mean,
really great. I talked to her yesterday. It was great.
cool, cool. So I definitely
Nice.
know
Yeah,
it's
2 days ago.
possible. It's possible for people to make it work. I mean, I look at Ryan and Neonsai, and they appear to me to have a very solid, loving relationship, and so I'm happy that they've found that. So, um, yeah, it's pretty crazy, but I'll tell you, I don't know how clingy she's being. Ryan, you're the goat,
Thank you.
man. Hey,
Thank you.
unknown boy, it's
You're
good
my
to
goat.
see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Haven't seen you in a while.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. Like, what are their? I guess I would ask what are their ages, like that kind of stuff. I mean, if they're minors, then meeting up, I might not necessarily recommend that. Okay, she loves messaging and talking with him. That she's 23. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so she's definitely old enough to make decisions in that regard. It's it's tough. It's tough. I always would feel weird about telling a female, and I know, we
Hmm.
have all this gender equality stuff, but like telling a female to go and meet with a guy that they've never met
Yeah.
before, like it can get a little bit weird. I would generally probably put the if they want to meet, I would probably say have the guy travel to her first and rent his own hotel or Airbnb or whatever. So, he's not imposing on, her household or her parents' household or whoever it is, right? Like, get an Airbnb. And so that way, there's each person has their own space. You're not stuck
Hmm.
together, right? Because,
Hmm.
there's all kinds of things. Plus, I don't know, people when you have a visitor come over, to me it just stresses me out because then I'm like, oh, I gotta come up with all kinds of food. I gotta have food on hand,
True.
like I gotta
True.
find out what they like, blah 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 blah
How
blah.
much do they eat in a day? Are they a snacky kind of person? Do they not snack? What do they snack on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he has no clue that she likes him. That's a thing I forgot to mention. Okay. Also have her share her location with a friend. Yep, that's a great idea, Wix. Pear says I would also recommend having a friend along. Don't meet new people alone. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. Um, so I mean, I don't know. I get it's crazy because you can get a really good idea for somebody's heart through messaging and through talking, right? Whether it's on video calls or whatever. And geez, I've known people for years online that I absolutely love, and I've never met them in person. And people in
Mm.
our company, in our what we knew Joe for
How many?
years
Yeah.
before we met him in person, right? Like so
Hmm.
so there are a lot of good people out there, but you just don't want to be you don't want to put yourself in any risk that's, you know, any undue risk, I guess. So okay, so he has no clue that she likes him. Um I don't know how far they live away from each other. If they live within a few hours of each other, then it might not be unheard of for her to just go to that town and, go to a restaurant or whatever and, and say, hey, I'm in town. Do you want to grab a coffee or something? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, that might not be super bad, but, if it's going to involve like, if it's a long ways and it's going to involve an overnight, then you want to have your own space. And I like your guys' idea of having a friend go along, and tell a friend where they're gonna be, all that kind of stuff, and then the friend and her can get a hotel or an Airbnb, And then, if if she wants to then go meet this guy in person, she can do that, but then also make sure, the friend knows what's happening, just for safety's sake, really. Um, but anyway, uh, I don't know. I mean, Ryan, you have a lot of experience with this. You're like a
So
success story in this.
sort of. I've also
Yeah.
got failure stories. I've got more of those than I have
Yeah.
success stories, but hey,
Well,
that's the
but
way it is with
but
anything.
but you have a success story too, so
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's awesome. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. He's going to give you the best
Mm.
advice possible.
Oh wow, possible. Dang, reach high for that one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, I'm gonna do my best.
Yes.
That's all I can do. I think this is yeah, whether it's an online relationship or in-person relationship, this always happens, right? Where you really like someone, but you don't know if they like you back yet.
Hmm.
And so you have to figure out what to do about that. And whether it's online or not, I think I don't know. I think it's probably the same experience, right? And I understand like not wanting to risk the friendship. Um, I can say from my personal experiences, I've had friendships, and they've never been ruined when I announced my affection for someone. But that might be because I I'm attempting to be very tactful when I do so. Because I understand that it is a tricky scenario to be in, a tricky situation. Because you're like, well, if I tell them like, hey, I really like them, and I'd like to like court them, I'd like to date them. If I tell them that, then they're gonna be like, oh no, I don't see you that way, and then they're gonna grow distant because they're gonna be like, oh no, they like me, I don't want them to like me, and so on and so forth. And I'll tell you that does happen, but not everybody does that. And I guess here's the question. Um, if you want a relationship with somebody and they're the kind of person that goes, oh, there's something about you that I don't like, which is that you like me, so I'm never gonna talk to you again, or I'm gonna kind of end our relationship. If that's the kind of person that they are, do you like that? Do you like that they're that way or not? I don't know. It's a good question to ask. And so if you can say, well, if the answer is that we can't be friends if I tell them that I have a deeper appreciation for them than just a normal friendship, right? If
Hmm.
he says that we can't be friends anymore, then a couple of things comes to mind. One, friends. What is a friendship to you? Isn't a friendship that which pulls out the best in each other? Like that's like the best form of friendship. The best form of friendship in life is that type of friendship which pulls out the best in each other. It helps each other grow and become stronger and really become the best version of ourselves, right?
Hmm.
And um, if announcing an affection destroys that, then in some way you didn't have the best friendship possible with that person, anyways. Not that you didn't have the best friendship might not have ever even been possible. But if they respond with, "Hey, I understand. I don't feel the same way, but that's, you know, um, I still care about you, willing to be your friend, you know." If they respond that way, then you've got an awesome person on your hand,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that's great. Um, I mean, not that this would ever happen, but if like in a weird scenario, if Joe and I were talking and like 20 years ago, I was like, Joe, I really like you a lot, like way more than just a friend. Joe wouldn't have ceased to be my friend. Joe would have just been like, all right, dude, not happening, but we could be friends, you know? I think that's the way Joe would have responded. I don't know, Joe would, I'm saying that you would respond that way because from how I've experienced you,
Because you know me. Well, I
because
think
I
I
know
probably
you.
I would have been tactful about it, and I would have,
Yeah.
I because I value you as a person, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
value you
Right.
being a part of my life, and so it's like, I'd be like, well, at the time that I met you, I was engaged to be married. Uh,
Yeah. Right.
so,
Yeah.
um, so it'd be like, well,
So it would have been like,
sorry, buddy, like, you
yeah.
know,
Right. Mm-hmm. But you get my point, right?
mm,
So I get the idea. I get the reason they're afraid. I get the reason afraid because they have something that they want to hold on to and they don't want to lose it.
mm,
But they also want more from it because they see more in it. And that's understandable. I think we need to not be so greedy, is kind of the answer to this. Um, because if you're afraid for yourself, then is your love just about yourself then? It's a really important question to ask, and it's a hard one to ask.
mm-hmm,
And it's one that you should try to relay to your friend to ask that question. If you're afraid to lose like a friendship, something that you have, um, then that thing will control your life
mm,
always.
mm-hmm,
Like I mean, and it's not bad to be afraid to lose a friendship. Friendships are like amazing, and you definitely don't want to try to test those waters for no reason. But you kind of get what it's saying. It's like if you're afraid to lose money, money kind of controls you because it's constantly on your mind. You're thinking
mm-hmm,
about it every time you make a purchase, and you're just like, you're under its belt, and you make your choices about what you do every day because you need money, like, because you need money. You know, it controls you. If you're afraid of losing anything, it means that thing, in some way or another, you're some form of a slave to it, right?
mm,
So, I would suggest if they are afraid of losing something, like a friendship, that makes sense. But they need to ask themselves, is my love for them about me? Because if
mm,
it's about me, then it makes sense that I'd be afraid
mm,
of losing something. If my love for them is about them, then I want it to be up to them whether they think this is a good thing for them or not. If this is about them, if my love for them is actually about them and not about me, then I should be happy to just put my feelings out there and say, do with this what you think is best. Because, you know, she can't know what's best for them. And he probably doesn't know what's best for him either. But um, it's a lot it's a lot better to have the output of like um, wanting the best for them than necessarily just wanting the best for yourself.
mm.
Um, and I think that's kind of the best thing I can relay. You know, if you want to make any relationship go deeper, you have to become vulnerable. You have to show your weak points
That's really
to the
hard
person.
sometimes.
And it's really hard. Yeah, that's really hard sometimes
Mm-hmm,
because you're putting yourself open, ready to be wounded. Um, but sometimes they don't wound you and it comes back amazing and you have a deep bond with that person and it's beautiful. And sometimes they will wound you and then things repair and they repair in a way that's stronger, makes the relationship stronger than it could ever be. And sometimes people wound you and uh, that's all they ever wanted to do in the first place. Um, or that's all that they were interested in, and that happens too.
mm-hmm,
So in order to in order to get the best relationships in life, you have to put yourself forward and be vulnerable to open up that relationship to allow it to be deep. So if you're not um so if you can readily put yourself in the position where you're vulnerable when you announce something like, hey, I have a deep attraction to you, like that's the kind of vulnerability your friendship needs to become what you want it to become, whether it be a friendship that is super amazing, that, you know, could last a lifetime and could be super beneficial to both of you, pulling out the best of each other. You need to show that side of you, whether it be just your feelings or other things like, hey, I've done these things before and I'm not proud of it. Sometimes that part, comes into vulnerability and they help you with it, and that can be amazing too. So if you never go there, your friendship will never go there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the friendship is the baseline. It's like the if you're pursuing love but not friendship, you've missed the base. Like you need to have friendship before you ever go to love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so do the things that always try to do things that magnify your friendship, and out of that will come and blossom the love that you want, right? And so those are all my thoughts and suggestions. How can you, Anonymous, help them in their journey? I think obviously be a good friend, be that friend which helps them become the best version of themselves. Talk about these things with them. Be open and vulnerable. You can even give your own experiences, and that's fine. But to be able to speak deeply about these things will probably help them speak deeply to themselves and come to conclusions, whether they're in love with the idea of the person, they're like in love with having them, like they're mine, I did it, I get to have this relationship now. That's cool. If that's their feeling, kind of try to draw that out and say like that's normal, but it isn't the goal. It's normal to experience those things. It's normal to have a desire. That's human nature, but it
Mm-hmm.
isn't the goal. It isn't the best part of it. The best part is the sacrifice, the vulnerability, the that that I don't know, the love, right? The best part is the love. And love is giving, not self-serving. And so if you can help her pull those things out of her, because chances are she has some of those thoughts in her head that are self-serving. And that's okay. But if you can pull them out of her, it might help her find her way into having better relationships across the board. And also figure out, like, hey, I got to weed these things out before I start pursuing this. And I think that could be really useful, right? So I would say the best thing I can encourage for you is to look at it for what's best for her, and not necessarily think that you know what's best for her, but just try to help her find what's best for her. Because, in all honesty, like rarely do we ever actually know what's best for another person, but we can help. Right? And so it's good to just kind of take a back seat sometimes, but like be up there and personal with it. So yeah, I would recommend attempt to have these conversations with her about where is her love oriented, like where is her desire, what is the focus for her, and also try to help her with recognizing that a deep friendship, a deep romantic relationship or friendship, either of them requires this risk, right? She wants to risk her friendship. Sacrifice is always a risk. It's always I'm going to lose something here, potentially. I'm going to open up myself vulnerably, and I could get punished for this. I could get hurt. If I get hurt, I'll get stronger. If I don't get hurt, maybe I'm the right path, right? That can be how it is. So here's the thing. She might get denied, and then you'll be there for her. And maybe through that denial, their friendship will grow in a way that she wouldn't have seen it, and they end up being friends for life. And if she hadn't announced this, whatever, that vulnerability, wouldn't have ever reached that point where they actually can progress to the next level of their friendship. So you have to take risks. If you don't take the risk, you're just going to sit there forever thinking, oh, when's the friendship going to evolve to the next level? And both of you are sitting there forever, unwilling to take the risk and unwilling to reap the rewards. Is the reward worth the risk? I guess that's a question that she has to answer. Are you talking about something like you want to have romance and you want them to be the one? Well, question, are you willing to put your life down on the line for them?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, well, if you're not even willing to take the risk to announce that you love them, then clearly you're not willing to put your life down. Like, what I mean is, like, that is putting your life down. It's one and the same. So I hope you can get all of that across to her to help fuel her, to strengthen her, to give her courage, and to help direct her towards love, and not anything less, never anything less.
Mm.
Right? That's my best that I can give you, and I think maybe just share the Don't Worry Wednesday with her, and maybe that'll help. Because I know that's a lot to try to carry on your shoulder and deliver as a message. And
Sure.
a lot of it can be worked out through, like all this is just conversational. It just takes a while. And it's a deep conversation that you're going to have for a couple of hours. And then she's going to figure stuff out. You're going to figure stuff out. You're both going to have an experience there. You learn something. And then maybe the courage will be there. Maybe it won't be. Maybe she'll be like, well, I guess I'm not actually seeking the level of love I want for the rest of my life that I'm willing to lay my life down on for this person. So maybe they're not the one. Maybe I'll wait a little longer. And try to figure myself out, figure out the world a little bit more. That might be her conclusion, and that's totally fine. That's a good place to be, actually. It's a good place to be. But anyhow, yeah, that's what I got. Sure.
All right.
Take it away.
So Anonymous asks, how long would you say she should know him before asking? And I'm wondering, before asking what? Before asking if she can go visit him, or if they want to meet in person, or like what is that? Before asking what? Or was there something else in here?
Yeah. Oh, it could be also before asking him out to date or something.
Okay.
I should say this. With my relationship currently, we both agreed that, like, before we decided further on a relationship, we would meet up in person.
Mm-hmm.
But because we had such a long history, we kind of ended up going, okay, we're dating, but we still want to meet up. And so when we met up, it was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get married. It was like basically we both were like, okay, yeah. We didn't necessarily announce like, will you marry me or get engaged? We just had a conversation. It was very brief. It was like, okay, so we're doing this, and it was like, yeah, we're doing it. All right, cool. And that was kind of how it went. It was great, but I think it is 100% important to have that FaceTime where you actually get to see the person. I think that would be good.
In person. Well, FaceTime
And then also
first.
have that in person. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty important. Now, yeah.
Well, because you might go over to their house and they might have like 17 rabbits and 23 dogs and 42 cats, and and they don't.
And then you immediately learn this is not the person I want in my life. Yeah, I get it.
You know
So
what I mean?
yeah, go to
So
Yeah.
who knows? But I say that jokingly, right? Because
Yeah.
but there's some truth. Like, you don't know until you meet somebody in person, really. Like, okay, you can get to know someone really well online. You can get to know somebody's heart. You can get to know, and a lot of these things can get they don't matter as much as we think they do sometimes. Not the heart part, but like I'm talking about living situation and stuff like that, but I don't know, it's crazy. So I really like what you're saying, Ryan. I like that you took it in that direction. You took it in the direction of like actual, like, loving somebody and saying I'm going to be committed to you and stuff like that, like that's a big deal. Sounds to me like what we're talking about here is just simple crush, but they're wanting it to possibly be more, and of course there's going to be fear, of course,
Of
but
course.
excitement also masquerades as fear, right? It's the
Sure.
same bodily response. The same feeling we have when we're afraid is like it's the same as when we're excited. And so we mix
The
them
same
up
butt
all the
tingle.
time. What's that?
I said for you, it's the same butt tingle.
It's the same butt tingle. My butt tingles, right? It's crazy, but
I
it's
love
true.
that. Sorry. That's so
Sorry.
funny. I like it.
Yeah. But so anyway, but we've had this experience. Like, tell me you haven't had this experience, right? Like, okay, like you get to know somebody, you start to talk to them, you get to know a little bit about them. Maybe you hear their voice on a voice call, and you think, oh, they got a cute voice, and or whatever. And maybe you've never even seen them before in your life. All you've seen are messages and heard their voice a few times, right? And then all of a sudden, like all these feelings start like churning up
Mm,
inside you, and you're just like, oh, like this is a person, like, oh, this
yeah.
this is a very interesting thing happening, and you get all excited, and then you just like whatever, right?
Yep.
And Jimmy, oh
They come in with a banana. Nice, dude. It just broke Joe. That's amazing. Well done.
my God. I should be Joe the goat. Oh, Alonzo or
Yeah,
Alfonso,
that's a
thank
good one.
you, man. That's very sweet of you. I
I love
appreciate
that.
that.
That's right. I like that.
I don't
You should
know if
change your name. Good.
I don't know if I'm the goat. Um, I'm sorry. I keep looking at this banana.
It's a beautiful banana.
It's a great banana, Jimmy. Good job. Um, so, anyway, but we've had these experiences, right? Pear, you guys are distracting me now. You keep calling me the goat. I'm trying to say something important. Wix, that's great. It's because you have to peel back the crush to understand the desires and feelings underneath, right? So here's the thing,
That's
here's the thing we have to be careful of. Okay? Like romance, Ryan, you're gonna have to forgive me. I remember having
go
I
for
had
it.
this conversation with a really good friend of mine, Kate. She's like, we coach each other, and she's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. And she's got a husband, Tony. Tony's on our roster. He's one of our artists at BSS, and so I've worked with him, and uh,
Nice.
and her and I we're still on this track of doing podcasts together because she's awesome, but we kind of counsel each other now, right?
Mm,
And I went over there to their house for dinner and met one of their close friends as well, and we're sitting there, we had dinner and whatever, and we got in this conversation about love and the different kinds of love that there is. And
mm.
so there's basically four kinds. Uh there's eros, which is romantic love, that crush, that deep love, that love that where the chemistry is happening and all that, that's eros. Then there's philia, which is like brotherly love, the kind of love that Ryan and I share. Actually, Ryan and I should probably share agape love, I would say, which is the highest form. There's storge, which is family love, like love for your family members, and then there's agape, which is the unconditional love, like godly love,
Mm.
right? Like super godly. And based on my experience and the experience I've seen from other people and the experience I see all around me from people in this crazy world, right? Eros, the romantic love, is absolutely the shallowest and most self-seeking love there is,
I would agree with
possibly,
that.
right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And
I
in
think that's quite often the truth.
and in my opinion, I think eros, the romantic love, should be an add-on to agape love.
Mm,
Like if you're in a romantic relationship, there should be unconditional godly love
I agree.
between you two, right?
Hmm.
To which romance adds to and
Yeah,
enhances.
I don't know why you said that. Yeah, I'd have to forgive you. That's spot on. I agree completely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Um,
really deep insight, I think. That's good.
thank you. But anyway, they hated me for it. Well, they didn't
They're
hate me,
wrong, dude.
but they were like, no, 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 blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, it's the blah. And they were arguing with me, and I'm like, no, look, like seriously though, because when we have just chemistry,
Mm.
you know, we can run away with our desires and not go any deeper.
No.
But to me, like when the times that I've experienced romantic love, like affection, like that type of desire, except for like when we're all younger and hormonal and all this kind of stuff, right? It's like, you know, when you just go,
It's a fun time.
yeah, right. And you're trying to make sense of all this stuff. But now, you know, as I've learned more and gained more wisdom and all this kind of stuff, it's like, you know, to me, the baseline is okay, so we have some chemistry or we have some feelings for each other, but then it's like, can we go deeper? Am I willing to sacrifice, like Ryan was talking about? Am I willing to lay my life on the line for this person? Am I willing to give of myself for this person? Am I willing to give up myself for this person?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's where it is. And so the, if I was to get to the point where I had chemistry, then it would be like, yeah, it's tough because then, you know, when you get all hormonal and, you know, everything, your brain and your heart and, you know, everything can run all over the place and go crazy and you lose focus of everything and you, whatever, right? And because that becomes your obsession, which I like how Ryan said he kind of checked it and he was just like, look, if you are, if you're in an obsession, then you're kind of a slave to it, right?
Hmm.
It's controlling you. You don't have freedom. And
Yeah.
but in a way, romance reduces our freedom. You might argue with me on that one, Ryan.
I did I don't think love reduces our freedom, but I think that certain forms of romance can, yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. Absolutely.
But
Especially when you become obsessed or something.
sure.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, okay, so romance is great. That Ryan, you haven't heard me say that in years.
Wow, that was pretty good.
You're like, Joe, you're
Romance
making
is
progress. Like,
romance is great and all. Okay, but
but
there's something better.
but it needs to have love. It needs to have real love with it. Like not just chemistry. Like there has to be love. There
Hmm.
has to be a willingness to sacrifice. There has to be a willingness to do all that kind of stuff, you know. Oh, Pear. Okay, Pear says love inherently can enhance your freedom if done right. Um
Yes.
and Alfonso very wisely says there's no such thing as absolute freedom. Yet you're
Mm,
absolutely
that's true.
as long as we're on this earth, you know, we kind of, you know, we're not necessarily free. We're bound by things like gravity and the need to sleep and, you know, like
Yeah, jeez.
and eat. We got to eat something once in a while. We got to drink water and not just
Mm-hmm.
coffee and, you know, like
Ugh. Nah, I'll just have my coffee, whatever.
Here, Hero says, in an ideal love, you should feel more free. When not ideal, it can be very constraining. And that's very
Hmm.
true. But here's the funny thing. Like, I look back through, you know, my handful of, you know, romantic experiences that I've had. Um, and I haven't had very many. You know, I've had two serious girlfriends, and one of them I ended up marrying.
Hmm.
And
Pretty good. It's a pretty good track record.
yeah, I was more focused on music and all that kind of stuff, right? But here's the thing, like when I was involved in that, like I was all in. When I was involved in both of those relationships, I was like all in and it was like I'm here, I'm doing this and I apparently hadn't found the right people because I
Mm.
really got hurt. Like really bad. And I
Yeah.
really got taken for a loop. Um and and I gave everything that I had. I gave up who I was. I gave everything. And I remember at the end when I got divorced and everything, there was this whole period, there was a few years that I had to like rediscover myself. I had to rediscover
Mm.
who I was. I had to rediscover like what am I even on this planet for? What am I even doing here? And like and I remember arguing with God, like I would pray and I'd be like, God, you suck, man. Like
Oof.
sorry, but like it's not his fault, but like I was just like I was so mad. I was so mad that God made anything. I was like, why'd you create anything at all? Because I was in
Mm.
such a spot where I was so lost and I didn't know who I was and I didn't know anything about because I had fallen in love. I had, it was a crush and then it was love and then we got together and then there was all kinds of manipulation and abuse and I was isolated and it was, and, like there was all kinds of stuff and I gave everything of who I was only to just have it used and thrown away. And so that's a possibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Love is
hope,
not a one-man show.
hopefully I'm a little bit more guarded now. you know,
Mm. Yeah.
but I don't know. Why did I go on all this tangent? I don't know. Because like anonymous, you're like you're probably just like, what? She just has a crush and just want to know me. Now you're going into all this deep philosophical stuff. And yeah, I'm sorry. But here's the thing. How long should somebody know somebody before they're gonna meet? It varies.
Every person is different.
Before they say they like them, I don't know, varies. Like I kind of like what Ryan said and was like, just tell them, just say it, and that seems to be common advice for some people. But I also know what that can do. That can freak people out, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It can.
You can.
It can. Doesn't always. Sometimes you find out, you say something like that, and you find out the other person felt the same way the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, phew, that was lucky. you know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's kind of funny when that happens. You're like, really? I don't know what to do now. I
oh
just feel
no,
crazy."
right? Or like, or you have feelings for somebody, and and then they come to you and say they have feelings for you, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that's awesome because whatever.
Hmm.
Isn't this is a lot different than my advice a year ago?
That's great. That's a good show. That's awesome.
Because a year ago I'd have been like, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do
Run
it.
away as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's great.
If you
You make
think you have a
some solid
crush,
progress.
kill it.
Crush it.
Crush your crush and forget him. Like run away as fast as possible.
That's so funny.
Hopefully I've grown a
That's
little
great.
bit, like
Mm.
but anyway, so I understand there's all this stuff, but and maybe we're going a little too far on it and saying, you got to be willing to sacrifice and give everything of yourself for this relationship. I mean, eventually, if that's where it goes, yes, that's how it goes. You just have a simple crush
Mhm.
and you like somebody and you have this chemistry. I mean, I don't know, get to know them, get to know about them, get to, get to know kind of their character,
Mhm.
you
It's not
know?
a race.
It's not. And really, the big thing is trust. I got major trust issues, man.
Mm.
Like, I don't trust anybody. I try. There's a few people that I have a lot of trust with. But now, like, after the stuff that I dealt with romantically, I don't. I I have a really hard time trusting.
Hmm.
Do I trust Ryan about as far as I can throw him? Which is pretty far actually,
It's pretty
because
good.
you're not
Pretty far.
very.
Yeah, it's pretty far. I like that.
Yeah. um. So, wow, the chat's lighting up. You guys are awesome. Um. Marhandi says,
I
"Hey,
wanted to
here
say,
your
yeah.
opinions on love and its types remind me of something from a while back. Would you mind checking Discord for what I believe it is? Did you just send me something? Oh wow. I'll check it. I'll read through it in a minute here. Um, but didn't think it would get this far, to be honest. Hero says, okay, Anonymous says they've only met a year though this year and only talked on a call a few times, so I'm weary. I mean, I'm glad they bonded about VeggieTales and Bible Man, but I'm hesitant. I understand.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, yeah. No, that's. I mean, I think what Joe was saying is really, really crucial. I was kind of focusing on her, and it's like make sure your heart is in the right place, and so on and so forth. And you got all these feelings going crazy in you, and you're like, you want to jump on top of it. But um, it's also, as Joe was kind of saying, really, 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 probably, I mean, it's equally important to really understand the person
Uh-huh.
because obviously, if you're going to be sacrificing yourself for something, it's good to ask, what is it you're sacrificing yourself for?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's the difference between worshiping God and worshiping a demon, right? Like, legitimately. And you could say it the same way in people's and put in human hands. Are you giving yourself to someone who is ingrained in all sorts of bad activities and behind the scenes that you just haven't discovered yet? Are they not stable of mind and been pulling it off and you just kind of been arguing against yourself and saying, "Oh, no, 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 that's I'm overthinking it." It's not. They couldn't be that way. And you just tell yourself over and over and over that, I've been there, and that's how I know that exists. And
Mm.
so it's really important to recognize the gravity of a sacrifice
Mm.
of love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to ensure that if you're really wanting to pursue somebody, that person that you're pursuing has every every bit of what you want to see. And um like, obviously no one's perfect, and that's why we have unconditional love, and it's awesome. But at the same time, there are certain things that certain attributes of human beings that if you make a sacrifice for them, they will not use that sacrifice. They will not use that for your gain, for their gain, for anyone's gain, right? And so you really do have to spend time to understand a person. So how long is too long? How long is too fast? It depends on the maturity and development of the relationship. Because for someone who is perhaps like me, where I'm willing to get down and dirty, like deep with someone quickly, like almost anytime I have a conversation with anybody, we enter a deep conversation that like they don't usually encounter
Mm.
on normal basis, unless they are like Joe or something, right? Where, you know, but whatever. You get my point. Like most of the time when I have conversations with a stranger online, they're like, "Wow, I don't usually open up like that to people. Like I don't know how that happened." I'm like, I just pull out the deepness in people, and so for me, I get to know people really fast. But if they're bonded over, for example, VeggieTales and Bible Man, this might be a little bit too surface level,
Uh,
but might not be. We'll see how deep that really is, right? And so I would say, how long until you should actually really consider your crush and figure out, like, what do I do about this? I'd say err on the side of caution. Um, be, you know, again, like, what is it you're sacrificing for? What is it you're sacrificing to? And will it be in line with your ultimate goals in life? I think it's super important to ask those questions and super important to know the deepness of a person before you ever really go all in. I think that needs to be said. It's not something I thought about, but now that Joe said that, like that is super important.
Mhm.
Know the deepness of a person before you go all in. And know that at the center of their being, what's in their heart, what are they after, what is their, what do they worship, right? What is it that they like find important in life, and like in the deepest levels, what are their problems? What are the things that they don't recognize, or their blind spots and things like that? Like dig in, not to try to find the worst of them, but to be able to pull out the best in both of your lives.
Mm.
You're gonna need that deepness. So I'd say if you haven't been if you haven't been deeper with them than you're like comfortable with, then don't even consider it. I think at that yet, like I don't know. That's it's hard, but there's a lot of surface level relationships out there, and people go, oh, "I have a crush on them," and it's like you've only ever really had a very, very, very surface experience with them,
Huh?
and yeah, you've talked like for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, but like you guys are just kind of watching TikTok together.
Mm.
Like that's not really getting anywhere. So I'd recommend that. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To go deep, right?
go deep.
Yep. That's good. So, I mean, I don't know. Like coaching somebody through a crush, that's tough. That's tough to say because everybody's a little bit different. You don't know them, like, and so I don't know. To me, I just don't automatically trust people. I kind of automatically don't trust people, you know,
That's fair. Understood.
and so it's like watching TikTok is a red flag. What?
Yeah, that's
Well,
a
if
great.
you're gonna say that, then watching YouTube Shorts, watching
Yes.
Instagram
Mm-hmm.
Reels or Facebook Reels or what, all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is all the same. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're all TikToks. Um, but
Yeah.
anyway, Alfonso, see you later. If you're already
Mm-hmm.
gone, sorry, but have fun. Um, so uh. Basically, do you have a crush on them or your idea of them? Ah,
Right.
yeah. So, like, do you have a
Mm-hmm.
crush on that person or just what you have come up with in your mind that you believe that they are?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's important, like Ryan was talking about, to go deeper than just surface level and talk about more stuff than that. And, like, because, you know, you can set yourself up to be in a bad spot if
I love that
right.
hero.
But short form videos in
TikToks are
general.
a red flag. Yeah, I needed my partner to have more attention span than 5 seconds. That's so funny.
Dude, I watch short form videos.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
pretty funny.
I've found myself scrolling through all
Oh
kinds of
yeah.
stuff,
Oh yeah.
like, hey, it
Yeah,
happens.
who
It's all
hasn't?
good. But you're right,
Mm-hmm.
it is funny. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times what we'll do is we'll sensationalize somebody in our head without getting to know them. And then really, like, but you can, I don't know, it's tough because you really can get to know somebody through text and voice message. You know, you really can, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of the next step is going to meet somebody in person, and then, then getting to know them that way and, all
Yeah,
that.
it's a whole new thing.
But and then you really start to figure out, okay, now I can see this person, I can, like touch them, I can give them a hug, whatever, like and then you can see how things go there.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing is you get to know each other more and more and more. That's That's really important, you know? And who knows? Like, they might meet in person and totally not connect. That's a possibility, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
There's all kinds of
I've been
possibilities.
there.
You've been there, huh? Where you
Mm-hmm.
thought you were connected online and then everything, and then you meet them in person and you figure out not at all.
Yep. You're like, nope. That doesn't feel right. Holding my hand is not what I felt like it would hold. Yeah, nope.
All right.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
All right. Um so anyway, I don't know. I think I've spent all of what I can talk about this topic.
I think we did it. I think we overdid it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we might
Or
have gone
we
a
did
little
not.
bit too far. Yeah, we
Goodness.
might have gone a little
Hmm.
bit too deep. But Anonymous, I appreciate you bringing this to light for your friend, and like I appreciate your concern for your friend. Excuse me. I appreciate
Hmm.
that
That's good.
you care for your friend enough to say, "Hey, like are you going off the rails here? What's going on?" Like I appreciate that about you, Anonymous. And
Hmm.
thank you. Marhandi, concern sure can be exhausting. That's true. It can.
That's true.
Yep, it can wear you right out. Um
Hmm.
but yeah, I don't know.
Great.
Marhandi, I'm looking at the dates on this message you sent me in Discord. 2023. That was dang, I think that was like, oh, you were trying to lift my spirits. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was in the thick of it, man. My divorce finalized like 4 months prior to that.
Hmm.
So it was a mess, man. And there was all kinds of battles for, you know, child, parenting time, all kind dude, it was just a mess. And it was hard. Um so that's why it's important to understand, you know, get to know and understand who you're getting involved with um, before you make all kinds of commitment, like activities that can bring children into the world.
It's a great. Yeah, pretty important
Yeah, because then now
advice.
you've got lives other than yours that
Mm-hmm.
you're responsible for,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it can get crazy. It can get totally crazy. But I mean, here's the thing. I don't regret having my kids. I love my kids. I love my kids. And I can't imagine life without them.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, like what I went through with their mom. Holy cow. I guess here on the bright side of things, like what was it? I can't remember if Ryan said this or not. Somebody said something like this, I feel like, but you're always going to gain experience. You're always going to
Mm.
get
Yeah.
XP. So if something happens and it's great, great. If something happens and it sucks, well, at least you got some experience points out of it. And so
Hmm.
like and all
Yeah.
these things are going to help you grow. They don't always feel like it at the time because partly because growth is painful. But
Mhm.
anyway, yeah, Anonymous, thank you. Thank you for bringing this topic to the table. Thank you for your care and your love for your friend. I think it's very
Mhm.
admirable. So I appreciate you. Excuse me. Um anyway,
Mhm.
I don't know. Ryan, do you have anything else?
No, don't have anything else I'd like to add.
All right.
Maybe we can get to pairs.
Yes, let's do pairs topic. So thank you, Anonymous. I wish
Thank
your
you.
friend the best. And yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely tricky, but I don't know. There's a natural progression of things, and maybe it's right. Maybe it's right, but they just don't know yet, right?
Mhm.
Got to get to know people better. So anyway, all right. Let's move on to pairs. Pairs is uh food health. Is that
Yeah,
Afrid that you have on there?
that is Alfred. Arfid.
Arfid.
Arfid. Whoops, it's supposed to be Arfid. Let me fix that.
Ah,
Oh, I can't fix it. Hold on.
that's okay.
R
You don't need to.
A R.
It's
Done.
it's it's correct in the. Oh, yeah. Hey,
Oh,
good
okay.
job.
Well,
It's
perfect.
Arfid.
Dang it. There we go.
All right, cool. Um, so let's see. All right. So we will move on to pairs. This is called food health and dealing with ARFID. And I'll put it up on the screen and you guys can read along while I read it out loud. So, and this is from Pear. Okay, so Pear says, I have ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. It's extremely difficult to manage, especially when the normal thing is to eat 3 large meals every day, and most foods are not safe foods for me. These days, I have 1 meal, maybe 2 each day, and sometimes I even forget to eat for a whole day.
Hmm.
It was slightly more manageable when I lived on college campus because I could almost always get chicken nuggets, which is the best and safest food for me. And when it comes to me, as my college friend would say, fed is best. But I want to have a healthy diet, even if it feels impossible. At home now, all the food my parents eat are not foods my stomach will allow, so I end up getting McDonald's, the safest and cheapest way to get any food for me, or sushi, not cheap but always safe and good for my mood. But without a job, my savings are going fast. How do I find food I can eat and make myself that is healthy, while also knowing what is safe foods for me now may not be safe all the time?
Hmm.
Um, and that is from Pear. So, okay, we got
Hmm.
avoidant restrictive food intake disorders. So, like, is this something that's like an allergy, or is this a psychological thing, like a mental thing? Okay, Pear says this has been a struggle my whole life. So, do you have like allergic reactions to certain foods and that regard, or is
Yeah.
it it's psychological? Okay, all right, all right. It sounded by the name, it sounded a little bit psychological. Like, what? Why is the topic not up there? Oh, I know why. There, now it should go up there. Okay. Perfect. All right. So Pear says it's like foods that I don't like based on taste or texture make my stomach feel awful, like genuine, actual, painful reactions. And it's interesting to me that McDonald's is the safest way for you to get food because McDonald's gives me a painful reaction.
Yeah,
Generally,
McDonald's gives
generally
me a
speaking,
feeling. So
not the breakfast,
it's
but
a
the
mind thing then?
yeah, it's a
Is it
psychological. It's
psychological?
psychological.
Okay. Okay, cool.
ARFID, yes,
Thank you.
Ellie, ARFID. Welcome, Ellie. Good to see you.
Hey, hey.
Um, yes. Okay. So here's the thing. So you're right. Normally, it is the normal thing to eat 3 large meals every day. That's not necessary.
Yes.
The
But
our dietary our dietary recommendations for 3 meals a day, go, have this much breads and grains and have this much, like meats and have like
food pyramid, yeah.
teeny tiny little bit of fat, maybe, but if you cannot eat fat, don't eat fat, blah, 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 blah. You know who put that information together was the United States Department of Agriculture, not the World Health Organization, not the Center for Disease Control, not anybody really interested in you being healthy. It was the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture. You know what their interest is? To sell you the most profitable food that they can sell you. And so that's what they would do. They'd be like, you need to eat this much grains. Because why? Because grains take up very little space in a field per capita. And so, like, we can get a lot of it in a field. And so it's very cheap on our end, and we can make a really good profit on the back end. So it's the agricultural industry put together our dietary things, and that's not necessarily what's right. It blew my mind.
Mm.
But I don't know, Ryan. Well, I'll speak for myself. A few years ago during Lent, I ate on Saturdays and Sundays, and Monday through Friday I drank water.
Hmm.
I've done that a lot of times actually. In fact, today I have had no solid food. I had bulletproof coffee. Oh, I take that back. I had a handful of Fritos because Steve showed up with a bag of Fritos that I'd never tried that kind before. And so I
We
had
had to
some
try, yeah, of
Fritos.
course, of course.
But what I had this morning was bulletproof coffee. Bulletproof coffee has butter and coconut oil in it in your coffee. And so you get all this, you get a lot of calories of fat, but it's not solid food. It's just that's what I had. And that keeps me full like the whole day. And I'll drink, and then maybe I'll have a couple cups of coffee at work with heavy whipping cream in it. And so I get, plenty of, I get a decent caloric intake, but I'm not eating solid foods, right? Um, so as far as for survival, you know, you don't need to follow that, eat three big meals a day, like in fact, I think that would probably be more of a detriment. So, but anyway, before I go too far down this rabbit hole, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. Ryan has a very, very good discipline when it comes to eating, and I appreciate him a lot. Like he inspires me, to
Oh,
to
thank you.
be mindful of what I'm putting in my body and all that kind of stuff. So
Interesting.
I'm turning it over to Ryan. Ryan, it's all yours,
Oh,
buddy.
I'll give it my best. This is a very deep topic, but we're hitting something that it's kind of I'm not familiar with it, which is great, in a way, uh, but also not great, for you, and I'm sorry about that. Um, I think what Ellie's saying is pretty on point so far. I think it's important um, to well, okay, I'm gonna back up real quick. What Joe was saying, I think, is great. I remember doing a little bit of a study. Turns out that the Romans, the Roman Empire, and that was only 2,000 years ago, right? They ate one meal a day, and they said it is most healthy to eat once a day, one large meal a day. And so that's what they all practiced. Generally, pretty much all of them just ate one meal a day. The Jews, on the other hand, they were right next door. They ate two meals a day. There isn't actually any history of anyone ever eating three meals a day until
Until
like
America.
no, until like maybe I can't remember. It might be like 800 years ago. Okay, so
Okay.
something like that. Might be 1,500 at most. Okay, that'd be the most. But there's like the record stands that for like 4,000 years or more in history, no one ate three meals a day. That's crazy. Crazy talk. Why do you eat so much? How can you do that? Um, and that's so you're talking about like how food, like how much you eat, and you're trying to eat three a day. I'd say unless you're trying to get like, unless you're on that diet to like gain like a lot of muscle really fast or something, which I'm doubting that's what you're. I know that's not your experience. Um, I don't think you have to worry about that too much. I think um, as long as you're safe in your eating, that's good. The content of your food, I think that's important, but if you're in a position where right now, psychologically, you can only eat what your brain allows you to eat, because if you don't like it, your whole body rejects it. And I'll tell you, your mind is incredibly powerful. And it's so powerful. What's funny is you don't have control. It's hilarious that we're human beings and we don't get to control ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're given control over one person, one body, one mind, and yet even then, our mind can be so powerful that it does things that we don't want it to do. And so it's like, I wish I loved broccoli so that I could eat healthy or something like that. And you're just like, I don't. And so then I try to eat it and it just comes out of me and I can't keep it down. Like, and I'll say that that's not, and while you have a avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, um, it's not rare for people to ingest food, them not like it, and spew it out. I know, for example, my brother's wife, um, she despises all things vinegar, including a lot of like condiments and stuff. And she's doing better now. But when I first met her, she would smell it. She would smell vinegar and have to go into the bathroom,
Dang.
like to like puke, just from the smell.
Dang.
She would like it was really bad. Or if it was like, oh, she didn't realize someone put mustard on her sandwich and she took a bite, she'd have to go into the bathroom, right? And so my point is, I guess from that is she isn't that way anymore. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe cleaning
She,
diapers enough,
she had
kind
a
of just
bunch of she had a bunch of kids.
she had a bunch of children. Yeah, I don't know. I can say that that happened in the process, but I can't say that that's responsible. All I can say is she's made a lot of forward movement in that because she no longer hurls at the smell of vinegar. And I've even seen her like put that stuff on her children's sandwiches and my brother's sandwiches and stuff like that and be okay with it.
Huh.
Um, so I guess my point is what you have, if it's a psychological condition, especially if it's a psychological condition, the good news is it doesn't necessarily have to last forever. What I would suggest is go, and I know this is costly, but to see a specialist or a therapist. There are many times where our body just reacts violently or chooses not to react when it should be. Like, there's a lot of people who have digestive issues. A lot of people who have the last digestive issue, which is to excrete your digestives, um, issues that with that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's psychological. It's like they get on the toilet and their body tells them they're in some kind of flight mode and they need to just chill and like sit there for a long time and figure out that they're okay. And they don't even know that they're psychologically going through it. They just are experiencing it. They've been experiencing it their whole life and they have no idea. And they just need to like chill out while they're on the bathroom toilet and that it's okay to go to the bathroom. And so my point is, Perry, I don't know exactly what you're going through because I've never been there. Um, I've when I was like 10, I decided I was going to like everything. And so I ate foods that I didn't like and I just literally put them in my mouth, let them sit on my tongue until I couldn't taste them because my olfactories just zoned them out. And then I would chew a little bit and chew a little bit and try to extract more flavor. And then just when the flavor went away, again, I would swallow. And I did that like once every 15 minutes. And by the fourth time, I'd put it in my mouth and be like, this isn't offensive. It's not good, but it's not offensive. And then a couple of months later, I'm eating them and I'm like, hey, these are actually kind of good. You know, in the right setting. You know, they're not good necessarily by themselves, but they're good in this setting, you know? And then a couple of years go by and it's like, oh yeah, I can eat those whenever I want. There's no problem. I could eat them whether they're just, you know, pure, raw, whatever, or if they're an ingredient or they're baked or whatever, right? And so food is very psychological. There is no mechanical reason, mechanical being biological in this case, there's no biological reason that one person should despise broccoli while the other person enjoy it. There's things in our brain, and there's no reason we both can't enjoy it. There's things in our brain that send sensors to say like, hey, this is spicy, ow, this hurts. Fair.
Mm-hmm.
And as you but there are also things in our brain that says, oh, I know this taste. I consider this taste poison, even though I see everybody else around me eating it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to gag. Or I consider this taste poison for some reason. I don't even know why, but I don't. I just consider it poison. So I'm gonna go. Ew, this tastes bad. But the person right next to me, they're eating it and they think it tastes good. So what's different?
Mm-hmm.
And literally, you just trick your brain over time in small amounts over a long period of time, and suddenly you're like, oh, there's actual flavor in this I was missing before. Like this doesn't just taste like bitter, gross. Like this actually tastes like there's something sweet in there, and there's something kind of deep and like. But that's interesting. Is there like this vegetable has like must have a high salt content within it because I can taste some kind of sodium within it, even though like it was just raw. Like there's some kind of interesting texture on my tongue, that I like now, but I used to not like. It's I feel food is like that. Now, um, it seems to me that your mind considers food very intense. So this might be a longer process for you. But I would say probably the best thing you can do is see a professional who can talk to you about kind of help revisit food and get your brain on track for liking more food rather than going down a route which is headed towards a dead end, which is ultimately your body can accept no food almost ever. Which what I'm saying is if you subject yourself to, well, these are the foods I like and this is all I can eat, one day you're going to have a bad experience with McDonald's. And what if that makes McDonald's not okay for the rest of time? And then, or you're just like, well, I can't have their burgers anymore. I can still have their chicken nuggets. And then eventually you have a bad experience, two bad experiences, three bad experiences. And suddenly, out of your control, your brain goes, I don't think I like chicken nuggets. I can't eat them. And out of your like completely not out of your, sorry, completely out of your control, suddenly you don't like chicken nuggets anymore because you've had bad experiences with them. And so now that's out. And then you go, okay, well, what can I eat? And you know what I'm saying? So I would try to, now this is my unprofessional experience, unprofessional advice. I would try to aim away from that route where you're restricting and restricting and restricting yourself down to what do I like, and try to open yourself up into what can I handle.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be literally like a sliver the size of like a needlehead of a peanut or a cashew or like something, a piece of bread. And like don't subject yourself into it in a way that's threatening. So don't like swallow it. Subject yourself to it in a way that's not threatening. Right? So what would that be like? It's in the air. You're smelling it. Okay, let's start with that. Right? Freshly baked bread. What a smell. It's amazing. You're smelling it. It's in the air. Okay? What's happening there? You're technically taking in particles of the air into your nostrils, into your lungs, into your mouth, and into your digestive system. You're already doing it. And I'm sorry, you're kind of doing that with poop too. Every time you go poop, and I'm sorry, that's gross, but that's what happens. Which means you're already eating poop.
Yay, we're
Gross.
ingesting poop. Thank
Yeah,
you, Ryan.
yeah,
Thanks for
that's
that.
disgusting. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you,
I'm sorry,
Mr.
guys.
Science.
Thank you, science. Okay, I'm so sorry about that, guys. But anyways, that's stage one, right? You're already doing that. You're already doing that. Yeah, you know that anyways. Yeah, and they laugh. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, you already know that. You're already doing that, right? And so it's a trick of the brain. You just have to continue to trick your brain into that order. So you're like, okay, I can smell it just fine. And that's technically ingesting it, small particles. Okay, if you acknowledge that and you allow yourself to believe that, that's good. A plus. Next step is to try to touch it with your tongue. Don't even eat it. Take a piece of bread, lick it. Like, and if that makes you go like, oh, I can't handle that, okay, that's fine. End your session for the day. Next day, try licking it again. And then just try licking that a new piece of bread, please. Don't get mold. But like, try licking things And you like bread? Okay, generally say perfect. So great. Something else, I guess, but you get the idea. Um, like maybe it's carrots. You can smell a carrot and you're not dying, right? Cool. If you smell a carrot and you're like, oh, that's too much. Okay, try something different. Try something that you are less volatile to. But this would be my program I would put myself on. This is the kind of stuff I do to myself. This is the kind of stuff that goes on in my head and I process. Because there are times where I recognize, like, this is in my head, it's a psychological thing. I can break things down, get through things one at a time, and eventually show myself that it's okay. And then through that, I can continue forward. And one day the problem's gone. Or at least it's minimized to a small corner of the world where I'm like, yeah, maybe I can't eat these things, but that's like not even, I don't have to worry about that because that's not in my general day of life. So, yeah, it's a physical, yeah, visceral reaction, right? So, um, but that's all I can suggest, and that's from a non-psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, standpoint. That's just what I would attempt with myself. But again, I would probably see a professional whose job it is to help you advance through the different stages to recovery from ARFID to no longer having the disorder. And again, maybe it's something that never completely goes away, but it's something that you broaden your um, you broaden your um, I guess just broaden what you can intake and not have a violent reaction to. Um, but yeah, those are my best suggestions, and I'm kind of like again, this is not something I've ever had to deal with. I've had to deal with similar things, but not this one. And so my take is always just if it's a psychological thing, I need to help trick my brain into thinking, okay, I know I'm thinking wrong about this, and that there is a better way. If there's no necessarily right or wrong, but there's a better for me, and better for me is this route, and I'm going to take steps. I'm going to plan my steps out and take them. My steps might be arbitrary, like lick bread until I like it. That's my first step, and that might take a month, but I'm going to do it. And and then advance to the next stage, right? So I plan things out and I do them that way, and that's how I attempt to fix things going on in here. And I implore you to do the same things throughout your life. I think it's really healthy and really great. Don't know if it'll solve this problem, but that's my best approach, best attempt. And with that, all I can do is give it to Joe.
Well, we'll see what I have to say. I hope
Yeah,
I hope what I have
We're
to
both
say.
gonna find out together.
Right, I know. Thank you, Ryan, so much. And that I think if you follow Ryan's direction on some of that stuff, I think you could probably see yourself making some progress. Like he said, it might be kind of slow, but that's okay. It's not a race, right? But it's so funny because people get all kind of antsy about food. Like
Oh yeah, it's weird.
and I'm not saying you are with avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, because like that's something that I think we need to be compassionate toward, and
Yes.
we should respect somebody and try and and just try and understand them, right? Like, but I remember dealing with it with both my family and my in-laws when I was married, when I changed my diet around and I started eating differently, right? And it was I didn't have a disorder or anything like that. I was just making different dietary choices, right? And like they were literally offended at me. I can remember this. I don't know if you deal with
Mm-hmm.
this. I don't know if you're dealing with this, pair, but I can remember, like what was I eating? I was eating like chicken and beans a lot, and maybe I'd have some rice, I'd eat eggs. It was high protein, low carb, high fat diet, basically, right? And people literally, like, they were so offended because, and I don't know why. because I was nice about it. I'm just like, no, thank you. I brought my own food. I go to my in-laws. I'd bring my own food, and I thought they'd be happy
You
about
know,
it because I couldn't win. Right? Either I'm eating their food and costing them money, or I bring my own food, and now they're
yeah.
offended that I'm not eating their food. Like you can't fight both sides of the argument, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Okay, Pear. Yeah, when I was a kid, I kept saying I was an involuntary picky eater, and it was really hard to deal with because, yeah, people get so offended. You can't win. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, people get
Exactly.
offended.
It was so crazy. This was so funny. I remember my dad when I said I wasn't going to have corn. He gave me this look like he was so upset. And I was just like, what's your problem? Like, seriously, do I come in and get offended at what you're eating? No. Eat
For what
what you
you're
want,
not
man.
eating?
Eat what you want. I don't care. Yeah, or what you're not eating. Right?
Yeah.
Like
In this case.
it's kind of crazy. Like so all right. So here's what I would do. Now because I'm sorry. I can only imagine what you're going through, with people around you and dealing with this, right? But yes, this is a psychological issue. I see in the chat you mentioned you might go try and find a nutritionist. I think that might be a good step later. But I think we
Mm.
need to deal with we need to deal with the problem where it is. And if it's a psychological issue, we need to find some kind of therapy, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, I don't know, and it needs to be like a psychologist or a counselor or something like that. A psychiatrist is generally going to prescribe medications, and I don't necessarily know. I don't know about enough about the issue to know if medication would even help this. You're in therapy. Okay, cool. Are you talking about n- neurotherapy? Is that
Oh, okay.
so? What's the difference between that and like counseling? Are they like picking at your brain, like giving you a lobotomy and like digging around in there with a stick and like shocking your
Putting those like
brain and
electrodes
stuff?
on your head and
Like, yeah.
then getting into the
Um.
army or whatever.
So,
RNI. I
well,
can't
but
say.
are so in your therapy are they addressing this issue? The avoidant restrictive food intake disorder? As both neurotherapy and counseling. Okay. Because here's the thing. I imagine. I don't know if being a picky eater. I mean, my kids were kind of picky eaters, but like we just deal with it. And it's so crazy because like you talk about a safe food, which is something that's not going to give you that visceral physical reaction, right? Like to
Hmm.
me in my life, line, it's like a safe food means something that's not going to kill my kid because my kid has a high allergy to tree nuts.
Yeah.
Like super he has an EpiPen and all that kind of stuff. If he eats that stuff,
Mm.
his throat could swell up, he could suffocate, right? Like it's like,
Mm.
you know,
Terrifying.
um oh, currently, you're talking about other issues because there's a lot going on right now. Okay, you have too many
Mm.
things to be stressed out at this very moment and pick the tamest to talk
Pick the
about.
tamest
I
thing. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay,
Fair enough.
no
Fair
problem.
enough.
So here's the thing, though. You might see some of this unravel as some of those other issues get worked out within therapy,
Yeah.
right? Um, One key for your therapist is if you start to get the idea that your therapist doesn't want you to heal, then you might look for a different therapist. I don't want to dog therapists. There are really good therapists out there, but there are also therapists who think that they want to just have a full caseload all the time and they don't want to lose anybody. And so they don't actually want to fix your problem. One of the first things, like the last therapist I had, what she told me, like early on, she's like, my goal is to have you not on my caseload anymore. I don't want to have you as a patient forever. And that's how I knew I found the right therapist because it's like, okay, let's fix the issues and let's move forward. And so like but there are therapists out there that just like they don't want to help you fix your issues because if you fixed your issues, you wouldn't need them anymore and then they wouldn't make money off you anymore and so then they might be out of a job with you and stuff, right? So it's okay, your therapist is genuinely protective and helpful. Fantastic. Okay, here's one thing I would do because your diet is very, very limited, right? I would recommend taking a multivitamin
Hmm.
because
That's good.
there are different nutrients. There are macronutrients and there are micronutrients. Macro and all of them come from our diet generally, unless our diet is deficient and then we don't, right? So macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates, breads, rice, like fruits, vegetables, stuff like that. Stuff with high fiber is good if you're eating carbohydrates. Proteins are your meats, and stuff like that. And then fats are, like there's animal fat, and then there's also fats like oils and nuts and stuff like that, right? Um, you try, but they're expensive.
Hmm. I
What's
think that was in
expensive?
reference to your vitamins.
Oh, vitamins. I mean, I guess it depends, like how you. Oh, multivitamins had some and then ran out. That's okay.
Hmm.
Multivitamins aren't necessarily all that expensive. They're a lot cheaper than going to McDonald's all the time.
Fair.
And I mean, I take kind of a expensive one, and I get like 50 of them for $10. So I get like almost 2 months out of them for $10. And I know there's cheaper ones. There's a lot cheaper ones out there, or maybe it's $11 for 50. Um, you can only have the gummies. That's fine. I mean, I just take a pill and swallow it. Like, but gummies, of course, are more expensive. Yeah, but here's the thing, like, so
Sure.
the multivitamin is going to cover your micronutrients. Those are all the your vitamins, all the vitamins and minerals that our bodies need to function. And so if your diet is very, very restricted, then you want to make sure that you're covering the micronutrients. Macronutrients, our bodies store fat, which is like the highest calorically dense macronutrient there available. So if you have fat stores on your body, then you're probably not going to starve. You might feel hungry, but you're not going to starve to death, right? But that's how our bodies work, right? We store fat for times when there isn't any food. However, missing out on micronutrients, all the vitamins and minerals and stuff like that can make your immune system weak. That can cause all kinds of other problems that you don't want to have to deal with, right? That's why I recommend a multivitamin. Um, yes, the pain of hunger is very awful. I absolutely, absolutely. Um, so I like what Ryan was saying. Like here are ways to try and expand and do it gradually. But I think what we really need to deal with is the psychological thing, and you're in counseling for that. So
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah, most important part.
as you get some of these other issues figured out, some of this might just ease up. You might just find yourself relaxing about it. But I assume some of this has to do with shame for something. I mean, a lot of our psychological issues come from shame of some kind of sort of a feeling ashamed about something. And people do this to us, like I talked about, my family, my in-laws, like they were all like offended at me and shaming me for not eating the food that they made or that they put out there, right? But they would shame me for eating too much of it on other times. And it's like, so it's crazy. And so then there's shame involved here. And so like I don't know how it is, now that you're at home, and you said you're at home, and so now there's um not as much stuff to eat, that is safe for you. Um but if I don't know, what about like can you eat bread, rice? What do they call it? The brat diet. That's bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast.
Mm.
Yes, it's a lot easier to feel ashamed here at home because there's always my parents looking down on me. Oh my gosh, I can totally relate to that. Oh my gosh. It's yes. You can eat all of those actually, yeah. So those that
Great.
they call the brat diet when you're dealing with some kind of digestive issue, and those are like the easiest on your systems food, right? Like the easiest ones on
Hmm.
your system. So that's why they say the brat diet is one when somebody's working through a digestive issue. Or when you're sick and you're just trying to, and you haven't eaten much for like 2 weeks because you had COVID or something, and you're trying to get like all back into shape. They might put you on, they like bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast.
Yeah.
Yep. Bananas, rice, applesauce, toast. Yep. Now here's the thing about that. There is no fat in any of that, which makes me upset because I am a big dude. I am such a huge like uh fan of like a high fat diet, mainly, and that's mental. Because when you don't eat enough fat, like, okay, so most of the calories that our bodies use get used by our brain.
Mm-hmm.
We've been told by the nutrition industry and all this kind of stuff that all the calories go to our waistline and our hips and our, wherever, right? That's where the calories. No, your brain uses most of them. And so they'd say, don't eat fat because it has 9 calories per gram or whatever, and proteins and carbohydrates only have 4 calories per gram. So it's like the most calorically dense food you can eat, but most of the calories are used by your brain. And so when you eat a high fat diet, you think more clearly. Now, just because I think clearly, I still might have the wrong ideas on a lot of things. So, like, just because I'm clear about it doesn't mean I'm right.
I am clearly wrong about this.
I'm very positive that I'm negative most of the time, right?
It's great.
Yep. So you thought the brat diet was just an apple that you bite right to the core? Oh, you ever bite an
Wow.
apple to the core and like the seeds in the core and it's all like, I don't like the
Yeah,
apple.
when I was a child, I never
Yeah,
did
it's
that
like,
again.
ugh, yeah. Um, but anyway, so I would put butter on your toast. And here's the other
Mm,
thing I've learned also: drink lots of water.
yeah, yeah.
Drink lots of water.
That's the cure for most things.
Drink lots of water, and I learned this in my time with fasting that sodium
Wow,
is
that's incredible.
important. Oh, the seeds in the stem of the apple. Oh, wow,
Mm.
that's pretty amazing, Pear.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things Pear struggles with is sodium intake. That's why Pear was saying that they can't keep. They're dehydrated because if there's salt in anything, it triggers them. Something like that. You could explain
But
more.
Pear,
Yeah,
you
and I.
said I try to drink water, but without salt, it's not good. But water without salt is not good. See, here's the thing. Like I had when I was fasting, I had to put salt in water and drink it
Mm,
because that's an electrolyte. You need it.
yeah.
We need sodium. We need sodium. We need potassium and magnesium, right? And I found out that when you get on about day 2 or 3 of not having any of that, like my face would tingle, and I would
Oh,
like
yeah.
get these weird, like my hands would tingle and start to go numb, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I like going into some kind of weird shock or whatever? But yeah, you can't absorb water without sodium. Most forms of salt are awful.
Mm,
I don't know. um, so I just put a little bit of salt in some water, stir it up, and I drink it. And I find I do that now too because I don't eat a whole lot of food. I might have one meal at the end of my day. I'll eat like some rice and some meat and some eggs or something, right? But most of my day, I'm just living off of that bulletproof coffee that I had in the morning with the butter and the coconut oil and my coffee, and then coffee with cream in it, and that's kind of my diet, and it keeps me full.
mm.
It keeps me going. I don't have to take a lunch break. I work 10 hours straight without stopping, maybe sometimes 14 hours straight without stopping, except to go fill up my coffee cup and get a drink of water sometimes and whatever. Um, you hate salty water, hate salty vegetables. Put a single grain of salt in anything and you will taste it. You know how much salt there is in a McDonald's burger?
or anything that they make.
There's quite a bit actually. Um,
But they say most forms of salt, so I wonder what salts are okay.
right. So, well, and it's an interesting thing. So, like, I'm not trying to dog you at all, Pear. Um,
Mm. Because they eat McDonald's and they're happy with it.
mm-hmm.
And so they can digest that and it's the best form of salt that they can get.
Yeah, somehow it doesn't
Got it.
hurt. That's cool. Like, hey, so I don't know, but I think somewhere along the line, something got flipped in your brain. And I know I'm dealing with some stuff right now where stuff got flipped in my brain and I got taken on a roller coaster. I got just a new one, like some weird. I don't even know what triggered it, but all of a sudden I'm in this weird like searching mode again, and I'm trying to figure things out. And like I've actually had recommended to me that maybe I need to go get EMDR, which is what eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, because I'm having traumatic responses to certain things. And it was like, what is going on? And then there's shame involved, and there's all this weird mental stuff just like cropping up. And I can't find a cause for it. I look back through all the memories I can think of, and I'm like, what happened to me that made me have this response now? Right? Like, what happened to me back in the past that now like this triggers me? And I'm trying to figure it out so I can make peace with it and heal from it. But I'm having trouble remembering. And so like that's what EMDR has shown to be effective in, was like, okay, it can relax your limbic system, your fight, flight, or freeze response in your brain. So then it allows repressed memories to come to the surface, and then you can remember them, deal with them, and then help get on the road to healing your trauma and these trauma responses, right? Um, you're in the process of EMDR with the amount of trauma. Okay, cool. You're a step ahead. What am I going to recommend to you? you're you're like ahead of me. But
Hmm.
I would definitely, Pear, I just got to say I'm sorry. I love you and I'm sorry that you're going through this.
Hmm.
But it's a psychological thing, and so I think a psychological problem needs a psychological answer. And in the meantime, um if you can eat bread or bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast, those things are not very expensive. Because you said in your topic that, eating sushi and McDonald's, like, and not having a job, your money's going away fast. Like, your savings are going away fast. Bread is not too expensive, you know? Bananas are usually pretty cheap. Rice is definitely really cheap. You can get a whole big bag of it, for not too expensive, and it'll last you for a long time. And okay, cool. Um, this
Cool.
is the smallest issue in my mind right now, so that will give you an idea of how big the rest of my issues are right now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Hmm.
Pear, I understand. I understand trauma. I have CPTSD, which is complex post traumatic stress disorder. That I have a diagnosis from my therapist from before. Um, Showing all the signs of that, and that was from narcissistic abuse. From years and years of it. Um, and hey, CPTSD, look at us, we're so awesome. um, but I mean, anyway, uh, yeah, it's tough. It's tough battling through these traumas. It's tough. It's a tough road sometimes. So I'm glad you're in therapy. I'm glad you're in EMDR, and just understand. And you're lactose intolerant. I was lactose intolerant too until I got a bunch of this stuff resolved. And now I drink heavy whipping cream, like, and eat
That's
butter.
amazing.
You know,
Interesting.
yeah, it's weird. We're the same person.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy, I don't know if you don't want to be me. Oh boy,
That's great.
yeah. So anyway, Pear, you're awesome, and you're on the road. And here's what I would say: be patient with yourself. Be compassionate with yourself.
Mhm.
It's and when people try and shame you or whatever for whatever, it depending on who it is, sometimes it can strike really deeply and it's hard. I wouldn't want to be you either. Yeah. That's how it goes, right? Please be kind to yourselves. Yeah, please be kind. Be kind to yourself. I've had to learn that, and I still am learning that. I am such a jerk to myself. I'm so mean to myself. I'm such a perfectionist in all kinds of ways, and it's crazy. But like, it's a journey. You're probably not going to get there fast. That's okay. So just take a step at a time. Sometimes you take a step forward, and then you fall back like 5 steps, and you're like, oh, what am I doing? But just take it one day at a time. Take it 1 hour at a time. And if you feel like trying something new, try something new. Do what Ryan was talking about. That's, hey, if you can expand the things that you can eat, that would be good, right? And Ryan gave you a step by step way of doing that. But don't jump in all at once and be like, I got to do all this now. No, take it. Just take it easy. You'll be okay.
Mhm.
I used to take Lactaid. I don't anymore. But
Hmm.
I used to have to take it anytime I was going to eat. If I even ate like a little pat of butter on some toast, I
Hmm.
would have to take lactose or lactase pills, like Lactate or whatever. But
Yeah.
it goes away. It can go away. And
Hmm.
yeah, Pear, do your best. Not easy. I understand. But yeah, I don't know. And keep coming back. If you got other things that you want to talk about, be happy to. Hit me up on Discord if you
Mhm.
want. Um, but you're awesome. And thank you so
Yeah, yeah.
much. Ryan, did you have anything else to say about this?
I just wanted to say this one last thing.
Yeah.
Fair, to be honest, it sounds like you kind of have a lot of this figured out more than we do. And I think you're already on the right track. You know what I mean? The best thing I could say is keep doing what you're doing and don't worry about trying to fit 3 meals in a day. It's
Yeah.
quite all right if you only have two. It's
Yep.
quite all right if you only have one. And if you miss a day, it happens. It's quite all right. Um, I remember when I was working at Taco Bell and I'd be like, someone was like, I was talking to someone and they're like, yeah, you gotta have that 3 meal a day. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I just kind of ignored it, whatever. And then eventually came up, I was like, um, somehow we got in a conversation and they basically, I told them like I hadn't eaten anything and they kind of were freaking out. And I was like, what's the big deal? And they're like, what do you mean you haven't eaten anything today? You got to eat something. I was like, no, I'll be all right. I'll be all right for a couple days if I don't eat. I mean, like humans can survive for like 2 weeks without eating, generally on average. And they like freaked out because they had never spent a single day in their life without eating at least one meal. And almost every day they ate three. And I
Well,
was
that's
like,
most people.
and that's most people. And I was like, that's, I mean, just because you do that doesn't mean that's what you need to do, right? Um, it was very interesting to me to see how people were like how freaked out people were around me when they had heard that I hadn't eaten in a day because they're like, "How are you alive?" And I'm like, "You what?" Didn't they teach you in like elementary that you could survive 2 weeks without eating? Like what? What? And that's normal? Okay. Anyways, my point is you don't have to eat every single day. I would say pay less attention to that and pay more attention to just trying to get the right things into your body. And it seems to me, Parrot, that you're kind of already doing that. The thing that you're worried about is finances. You don't have to put all your finances into food. If if eating 3 times a day to hit that social norm isn't working for you for your finances, don't hit the social norm. The social norm is a social norm. It has nothing to do with your needs as a human being. Okay, and if 2 meals feels good for you, um, then there's nothing wrong with that. That's not evil. There's nothing wrong with it. If people go like, "Oh, you need to get 3," you don't. You're quite all right. You already know because your body is alive and surviving right now, right? Isn't it? So my point is, don't pay too much attention to the 3 meal a day thing. Don't pay attention to the social norms in that kind of category so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think
Right.
it's much better to just do what you know you can do, and that's better than worrying about anything. You've already got enough on your plate. Don't worry about more, right?
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
already got enough going on in your life. Don't put this on another thing to worry about. Like literally, you're fighting the social norm and your finances at the same time for that. Just forget both and go like, look, I don't need to eat that many times a day. That'll save me money. Boom. Um, and yeah, you said honestly, 1 meal feels the best. Like that's actually not that unnormal. I know a lot of people who survive and thrive even on 1 meal a day. Like I know a lot of people who eat 1 meal a day and they're great. They put in like more effort in a day than I do. Like they're physically active and everything. And Joe is one of those people. On
Yeah.
occasions, he does that, right? So I don't think that
I eat one
that's
meal a
going to
day
be a
usually.
problem.
I still haven't
Yeah,
had a meal today, unless you count bulletproof coffee.
coffee. I don't account that as a meal. I don't think most people would.
No, I don't think so either. But it
So,
is 400 calories.
mhm. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
It's all fat,
Um,
right?
it's all fat,
So
yeah.
it's slow
Well,
burning
yeah. So
calories.
that's all I had to add. Was I think you're kind of already on the right track there. And
Yeah.
there are things that maybe you could try to do, and I can't promise any or guarantee any results on, but you can try to expand your horizon about what you can eat, so you can start taking in salts and things that are healthy for your body. But to be honest, do what you can do right now. You've got a lot on your plate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point, Ryan, because yeah,
Hmm.
if you're working through all kinds of issues with your therapist and all that kind of stuff, you don't have to solve them all at the same time.
Hmm.
And you don't have to try and solve any particular one at any given time. It's like, okay, with the guidance of your therapist, you guys can work through these things step by step and get through them. Um, because the worst thing you can do is get stressed out about it. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you talk about, honestly, one meal feels best at the moment, but I feel so guilty because my friends become concerned. And yeah, every time I forget to eat, my friends get really concerned. Eventually you're going to learn to tell your friends to shut up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You can say, I love you. Shut up.
I love you, but it's fine. Like you can eat one meal a day and it can be fine, right? But but from the time we're kids, we get bombarded with being in this social norm and being acceptable by society and all this kind of stuff. But most of the time, society is so stinking wrong. Like,
Yeah, why would you want to fit into that?
right,
That's
why?
true.
Exactly. Why do I want to fit into this? Like, all these social norms and all these people. It's like, what the heck, man? I'm trying to, like, help my kids grow up in this day and age, and they go to a private Christian school. And so they're like, going through, like, man, I got all kinds of things that I'm trying to combat that they're being taught there. Now, it's
Mm.
not a problem. It's a Christian school, right? But private school, big, big, like doctors, lawyers, teachers. These are the professions that are respectable. Or, pastors, like if you're not gonna be anything else. So it's like crazy. All these societal norms, we chuck them out the window because nobody's gonna fit me into a flipping box, man. They've been trying my whole life. And this 3 meal a day thing is just another one. And eventually, I don't know what had to happen, but eventually I just had to just like shut off everybody's noise. Like everybody's trying to shame me into eating different things. Everybody's trying to like it's. I just had to be like, just shut up, please. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. Stop trying to tell me how to live mine. Why is my life so important to you? What do you not have going on in your life that you need to try and control mine? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I think you have enough trouble with your own life. Why don't you figure yourself out first?
Dang, that's some real sass coming from Joe.
And I don't say that out
He
loud.
doesn't say that out loud ever. No.
No.
Keep
But
in mind, he
I
doesn't
had
say
to
those things
say
like that.
this in my head and then go punch some stuff like punching bag, not people. I don't punch people unless I'm sparring with them. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. You understand. They just care and they don't really know anything different. You're absolutely right,
That's
Pear.
right. That's
That's
absolutely
absolutely
important.
right. And so then we have to have grace and forgiveness for them. But then also we have to recognize you, Pear, you're an autonomous being. You have the ability to think freely for yourself. And it's okay. Your thoughts are valid. Your feelings are valid. It's okay. You're going to be okay. And as you work through these things, you're going to gain more confidence. You're going to have less shame. And I think a lot of these things are just going to smooth out. You'll start to find that, man, I can eat some coleslaw. I can eat some fish and chips. Yeah, just shove
But
research
I
in their
won't.
faces. I love that, Wix. Hey, see you later,
Yeah.
Mianglios. Have a
Oh
good
yeah.
week.
See ya. Have a great one.
Um,
Yeah.
it's so funny. I shove research in people's faces and they still tell me I'm wrong. And I'm like,
Oh,
ah,
all the time.
whatever.
Who cares?
Yep. Yep. It's crazy.
We're on
I
we're
could
on the
go,
topic of food, and I've made some recent discoveries over this last year that I'm like, man, Joe's gonna flip out if I tell him this stuff.
why?
Because it's about sugar.
What about it?
Okay, we don't need to get into that because it's going to be a long conversation and already 25 minutes over. We can talk about it later.
Okay. All right. You guys, you want to see the Ryan and Joe drama. You want to see Ryan and Joe get in a fight?
Ooh, it won't be a normal kind of fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we should wrap it up. But Pear,
Hmm.
you're gonna be fine. It's okay. Where you're at is okay. And just know that there are people that care deeply about you. And they might not necessarily know how to show how they care. But just remember, you're you and you're wonderful.
Thank you
Give
so
me
much, everybody.
give me the sugar
Get the sugar
drama.
drama. I love that. That's such a great. That could be a song. That could be a song.
Aw, thank you guys. Do you want to
Yeah.
see us both play the game you sent us and see who's better at it? You sent us a game?
Oh,
Uh-uh.
some sweet drama. That's funny. Well played.
Oh.
Get competitive. That's fun.
All right. Well, we love you guys. That's why we do this show. We're gonna be
Hmm.
back next week. Probably. I think we'll both be here next week. Um, but we love you guys and we care about you, and that's why we're here. And
Yeah.
so until next time, take wonderful, wonderful care of yourselves and the people around you, and remember that you are loved everywhere you go. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so
See
much.
you all.
Yep. We'll see you next week.
See you next
And
week.
until then, we love you. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys. Bye now.
Bye bye.